Nerds, Mary here. I decided to take a little time and review the books that I read in March of 2025 and talk about which one ended up being my favorite. I was able to finish 12 books in March and felt like it was a really solid reading month. I had a few 5-star reads, a lot of 4-star reads, and a couple of 3s. So let's just go through chronologically which ones I finished and what I thought of them. The first book I finished was Never Lie by Freida McFadden. And I've read a few Freidas at this point, and they're entertaining. I don't consider them anything that I'm going to necessarily go and auto buy when I see them at the store. But actually, Never Lie was my favorite of the Freidas I've read so far. I ended up giving it 4 stars. So if that tells you anything, if you're looking to maybe dabble in some Freida, this may be the one for you to start with, because of the ones I've read so far, this is definitely my favorite. So Never Lie, 4 stars. The second book I finished was Thornhedge by T. Kingfisher. And if you've seen any of my videos before, you know that I love T. Kingfisher's writing. I did enjoy Thornhedge and gave that one 4 stars as well. The third book I finished was my Stephen King Book Nerds book of the month, which was The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon. I had to look down for that one. It's definitely not one of his most famous books, and it was okay. I gave it 4 stars. Looking back, it might be closer to like 3.5, but it's an okay read. If you're someone who's planning to read his entire bibliography, this isn't a skip. I would definitely say go ahead and read it. But it's not in his top tier, if you know what I mean. The next book I finished was Elephants Can Remember by Agatha Christie, which was our Agatha Christie Book Nerds book of the month. And as I've mentioned before, her later books were not my favorites. I actually think I enjoyed the adaptation of this with David Suchet and Zoe Wanamaker better than the book itself. I gave it 3 stars, which honestly might be a little bit generous, and just due to my love of Agatha Christie. Her earlier books are definitely superior to the later books in her bibliography. Next was The Case of the Postpone Murder by Earl Stanley Gardner, which is a Perry Mason book. I have been collecting used copies of the Perry Mason books for my husband, and he loves them. We watch Perry Mason together. It's just something nostalgic. It's something relaxing to watch at night. And I will occasionally pull one of those books out and read them as well. And I enjoy them. I gave this one 4 stars. So I would definitely say if you're looking for some classic mysteries that incorporate courtroom drama, I would definitely give some of these Perry Mason books by Earl Stanley Gardner a shot. Next, I finished We Used to Live Here by Marcus Klewer. I'm not sure how you say that. I gave it 4 stars, and as I'm sitting here, I don't remember a lot of it. I remember pieces of it. But at the time I gave it 4 stars, so I'm going to stick with that. I remember enjoying it when I read it. Next was Death of an Author by E.C.R. Lorac. I also gave this one 4 stars, and I remember nothing of it. Do I need to maybe consider why I'm not remembering some of these books I'm reading? Is it the books or is it me? Do you have that problem? Anyway, 4 stars at the time. Death of an Author. The next book I read and finished was The Alloy of Law by Brandon Sanderson, which was our Brandon Sanderson Book Nerds book of the month. It is in the second Mistborn era, and I know some people really don't enjoy that era as much as Era 1, and I agree. Era 1 was superb. but I do like the Wax and Wayne books. I gave this one 4 stars, and I do highly recommend, if you enjoyed Mistborn Era 1, read this one as well. The next book I read and finished was Blood Over Brighthaven by M.L. Wong, and I gave this one 5 stars. It was fantastic, and I hope to read some more by this author soon. I've just been so busy with things I already had planned to read, but this was definitely a 5-star read for me. The next book I finished is kind of something kind of off. In December of 2024, I started listening to The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson, which is one of my favorite books of all time. For whatever reason, I was having trouble with the audiobook, which again is so strange because I love the narrators of those books. Michael Kramer, Kate Redding, I love their narration, and I don't know, I didn't finish it until March. What the heck? I gave it 5 stars again. It's still such a fantastic book. They are incredible narrators, but it wasn't finished until March, so it is what it is. Sometimes strange things happen. Your mood can be different, whatever. But I did finish listening to The Way of Kings for my reread in March of 2025 and gave it 5 stars. The next book I finished was The Wood at Midwinter by Susanna Clarke. This was a 3-star read for me. I finished it in a day. Wasn't bad, but just not enough to get that 4th star. And the final book I read in March of 2025 may be a controversial rating. I read The Housemaid, which is one of the more popular Freida McFadden books. And having enjoyed Never Lie so much, I thought, this is a no-brainer. I gave it 2 stars. I'm sorry. I think it is one of the worst Freida books I've read. I just didn't enjoy it at all. The characters are infuriating. No. If I was going to read Freida, go with Never Lie, not The Housemaid. So, sorry. Where does that leave us for favorites of the month? I had a lot of 4-star reads. Only 2 were 5 stars, which were Blood Over Brighthaven and The Way of Kings. I'm going to exclude The Way of Kings because it took me so long to finish it. I already know it's one of my favorite books of all time. It was a reread. So that leaves me with Blood Over Brighthaven as my favorite book that I read in March of 2025. So to recap what we have so far this year, in January, my favorite was My Cousin Rachel. My favorite in February was The Familiar by Leigh Bardugo. And now in March, we have Blood Over Brighthaven. In a few days, I'll be recording my April wrap-up, and spoiler alert, I had another great reading month. 11 books finished, but were any of them worthy of being a favorite? Stay tuned. I'll talk to you guys soon. Hope you have a great day. Bye.